Carr. I'm the founder of www.thehomeofcaribbeanfootball.com. Big up to my good friend Simon Preston for inviting me onto his new YouTube show, Reggae Boys Commentary. I'm here to preview the second round qualifying games for the 2017 Caribbean Cup, which kick off next month from the 1st to the 7th of June. Just to give you some background detail on the second round, there's 15 teams altogether, placed into 5 groups of 3. The 5 group winners and 4 best runners-up will advance to the third round to be played in October. The first group, consisting of Grenada, Puerto Rico and Antigua and Barbuda. This is probably one of the more tough groups there is in the second round. Grenada, for them, this is going to be a much bigger challenge. Of course, in the last round they played Sint Maarten and US Virgin Islands. They were expected to advance, really. They were, on paper, the strongest outfit there. This time, though, in Puerto Rico and Antigua and Barbuda, they're playing much stronger opposition. There'll be less pressure on them, I think, to advance the third round. For the first round, their squad was predominantly made up of domestic-based players. Harry Varley, the British coach, was brought in, and he had some time to work with the domestic group. And they performed well against 2 inferior sides in Sint Maarten and USVI. But I think for Grenada to mount a serious challenge in Group 1, they're going to have to call on some overseas experience. The likes of Anthony Straker, Aaron Pierre, Tyrone Sterling. These guys that ply their trade in England, they're going to have to come in and feature to boost the squad. Otherwise, Grenada will fall short, in my opinion. Puerto Rico, of course, an overseas territory of the US. Anyone born in the US and has an American passport can actually represent Puerto Rico, which means that the Puerto Rican squad, it does feature some players born in the US that ply their trade in the US, such as Jason Hernandez, the veteran defender from New York City FC. He made his debut in the first round of qualifiers in March. He brings a bit of steel, a bit of know-how to the defence. Manolo Sanchez is another from New York Red Bulls. He was born in Philadelphia, but he qualifies for Puerto Rico through his heritage. So the Puerto Rican squad, it's strong. It's got a couple of players, Jorge Rivera and Jackie Marrero, that play at Puerto Rico FC. They're forward players who can create chances, very lively. I'd expect Puerto Rico to advance on this group above Grenada, purely on the quality of their squad. And then Antigua and Barbuda is the final team in Group 1. Now it's interesting, there's been a bit of unrest in Antiguan football of late. For the last round, yes, they got through just about. They beat Aruba 2-1 at home in their first game. However, the locals weren't entirely satisfied. The Polish technical director, Peter Nowak, left recently, leaving Ralston Williams to not only be the head coach, but also the technical director as well. So he's sort of serving 2 jobs at once, and it's not really feasible. There was actually a domestic player who hadn't played in 6 months, yet still received a call-up to the squad for the first round, which is somewhat puzzling, and I think that frustrated the locals. And there's also a sense, I think, that while Antigua have been shrewd in recruiting from the diaspora, a lot of players born in the UK that they've got in, there have possibly been some unnecessary call-ups where a player from the non-league in England or League 2 has come in and actually replaced an up-and-coming homegrown player. I look at someone like Javon Stevens, who's a teenage striker, plays in the Antiguan Premier League, supposedly very highly rated in Antigua. His development might be blocked in the national team by somebody like Dexter Blackstock or Nathaniel Jarvis. I mean, don't get me wrong, they bring a lot of experience and a lot of professionalism. However, I think it's tricky to strike that balance between the homegrown influence and the overseas diaspora influence. And I think at the moment Antigua are struggling a little bit to find that balance, and the local supporters aren't entirely satisfied. So Antigua will have to up their game. On paper, I think Antigua and Barbuda have enough though to finish top of the group, and then Puerto Rico in second, and unfortunately I think Grenada might just fall short in the second round. Group 2 consists of Dominica, Martinique and Guadeloupe. Dominica did of course play Martinique in the last round, and they lost 4-1, so those two will be playing each other again. Martinique and Guadeloupe, this will be the battle of the two non-French, the French overseas departments. Martinique and Guadeloupe are non-FIFA members, of course, and they played each other in the 2014 Caribbean Cup Finals. So they've played each other recently. Both of them possess experience from the French leagues. Martinique's key player, arguably, is Kevin Parsmain. Used to play for Seattle Sounders, now plays in Congo, of all places. He was very, very good in the Gold Cup in 2013, and he's the talisman up front for Martinique, so he's the danger man up front. And it'll be interesting to see as well if Martinique call up Julien Faubert, formerly of West Ham and Real Madrid. He could add a lot of star power to the squad. He featured in 2014 Caribbean Cup and was the captain, made a big difference. So if you can get him on board and a few others from Ligue 1 maybe, then that will help them a lot. Guadeloupe star man Claudio Beauvue, formerly with Lyon, now with Celta Vigo in La Liga in Spain. Very fast striker, clinical in front of goal. So he'll be heavily relied upon up front to grab the goals. And then Dominica, I wrote on my website for the review of the first round. I went through each team and assessed them, and I wrote that Dominica might be dark horses. They did absolutely thrash the British Virgin Islands 7-0 in the first round. But I think for them, Martinique and Guadeloupe might just be superior opposition. Their defence is a little bit shaky, Dominica. While they've got good attacking players like Randolph Peltier, Sidney Lockhart, Julian Wade, they're good going forward, but in defence, that's maybe where they lack a little bit. I think Martinique and Guadeloupe, their squads overall are a little bit more balanced, and that's why I think those two French overseas departments are going to progress, with Martinique taking first and Guadeloupe taking second. Group 3, Guyana, Curacao and the US Virgin Islands. Now, I don't want to be hasty, but I can't see the US Virgin Islands occupying the two spots in this group, I'm afraid. I think Curacao, with having one of the strongest squads that they've ever had, they should be expected to finish first. Patrick Kluivert, of course, a massive football icon. He's the manager. He took charge for the first round and also for World Cup qualifying last year. He actually leaves his post after the game against US Virgin Islands on June the 7th, and Curaçao FA will have to appoint a successor to Kluivert. But he's made a huge difference in terms of recruitment. He's brought in the likes of Leandro Picuna from Aston Villa, Giacchino Antonia from FC Groningen in the Eredivisie. He's made Cuco Martina, from Southampton, the captain. They've got a lot of very, very good players, Curaçao, all across the pitch, across every single department. What they struggled with in the first round is team cohesion. These players from all over the world have been assembled very quickly, and they haven't had that much time to gel. So Kluivert's job really is to try and mould this team of individuals into a collective unit, an effective unit. Because against Barbados in the first round, they had a lot of ball possession, but they weren't productive enough with it. So they need to work on that in this round. It helps that Curaçao will be playing both of their games in Willemstad, which is the capital of Curacao. That's because Guyana haven't got an up-to-scratch football stadium. Their stadium is cricket-based, so Guyana will be playing their game against Curacao in Curacao, and then their game against USVI in USVI. So Curacao have the home advantage on both occasions. That should help them. But I think Guyana, who topped their group, got maximum points in the first round. They've just played a friendly against Canada's under-23s. Granted, they lost 5-1, but they need to try and take some lessons out of that for the second round. They should have their overseas players back for second round, such as Neil Dans, Matthew Briggs, possibly Christopher Nurse, and Sam Cox as well, who used to be with Boreham Wood. Marcel Barrington, he's another overseas player. So I think Guyana and Curacao have got the star quality to progress. USVI, yes, they've been making strides, steady progress under technical director Ahmed Mohamed, but I don't think that they're quite at the required level yet to push on to the third round.